Go.
Welcome to the podcast that takes a light-hearted look at money. We dive into the wild world of spending and saving, the ups and downs of budgeting, money mishaps, and tips that actually work to help you keep your finances in check.
Whether you want to spend it wisely or widely, we look at how to get the right formula so you're never spending more than you need to or getting tripped up along the way.
I'm Charlotte Redding, product expert, master of multi-buys, and value for money enthusiast.
And I'm Vix Leyton, the other half, consumer champion, prolific spender, and next day delivery devotee.
Welcome to Spendology.
Oh, I liked your intro there, Charlotte.
Thank you.
Are you practicing for like BBC?
I am.
Story
That's
time.
the dream,
CBB
isn't it?
story time.
Oh yeah. Do you think what I want is
If you were only famous
to be paid to read a story on Calm or something? That would be. I'd really like that. If someone could pay me to read people to sleep, which happens all the time anyway.
We're not sponsored by Calm, but I would personally like to be. And if I was, I would feedback that they need to bring back Shike because he's my favourite. He's got such a beautiful voice.
We went through a phase, actually, of listening to those trying to fall asleep. And I remember we were trying to take a train.
To Scarborough.
There was a train to Scarborough and I never made it out of the station. I was asleep every time.
He's that good.
It's so good.
Shike,
we got
come
on
back.
The train. The train was described beautifully. We got into the carriage. We sat there. I knew all about the luggage racks. I knew all about the station. And then before we could pull out, I was just like...
Harry Styles does one as well, but I don't like his voice as much. It's a bit too northern and it feels too raw as I've recently moved up north. I need...
A bit too northern?
It's a bit too northern for me.
Is that safe to say out loud?
I don't know. We'll find out if we're immediately ejected from our lovely studio in Leeds. We'll find out. So what's coming up on this week's Spendology? Well, on today's show, train of fools. I was really pleased with that segue. Why are you laughing, Charlotte? With trains seemingly operating on a what they feel like it vibe, how do you get compensation? And return to sender, why online shopping for clothes is about to get more expensive and even loyalty doesn't necessarily pay. So let's dive straight in on trains, Charlotte. My favourite thing.
I mean, to the listeners, they're not going to know just how much you love trains. But every day we sit down to do the Wordle together and I go, what's it going to be? And all the time, train.
Well, yeah, because we do the Wordle, we do the New York Times puzzles. I pay for them, and you know what? I'm not sorry. That is good money spent. I get a lot from the archive.
Is so worth it. It's such a good game.
I'm happy to pay the money for that. But we sit down and we're like, we need a word that encapsulates our day. And it's way often than I'd like trains or roast because, oh my God, do we love to roast vegetables. Anyway, that's a little insight into our lives.
Most days, a train and or a roast. But you take so many trains and all like 2 to 3 times a week are you on a train somewhere and do I get a message going, it's delayed again?
It's a fiesta. It's an absolute party because I do stand-up comedy and the fees for stand-up comedy are not... bountiful, to say the least.
For the promoters and for the people running stand-up comedy as an industry, great value for money because you don't have to pay most people. But for the comedians themselves, a terrible trade deal.
So I'll take a £250 job and then realise that the gig is, for example, last week, Evesham, which requires 4 hours of trains and about £70 worth of trains. Or does it? Because every single train in my 3-train chain was delayed or cancelled, which meant I got to travel for free. The only cost was my time and frustration. And the moment I thought I was going to have to move to Worcester Parkway because no train was leaving there.
How do you put a value on frustration? What's it worth?
I don't know. In that moment, when we were squeezed into the vestibule of the train and people were standing in the toilet cubicle, a lot more than what I was paid back. But do you know what? A lot of people have been paid back because in the period between April 2023 and March 2024, 7.6 million delay repay claims were made.
Oh my God.
Which is up 30% on last year. for the same period.
30% more claims. Now, do you think people are just more aware of delay repay?
I think there's an element of that because Adrian Charles recently wrote a whole column about how he enjoys a mild delay now because you can just sit back and think of the compensation because train travel has never cost more and it's never been worse.
I do love that feeling though. There's nothing greater than being sat on the train, you see that delay tick up and when you're like, oh, no, delay is 13 minutes. Then you're going, get to 15.
But yeah, if you are someone who, like me now, leaves leaves 2 hours before then you need to get there, you have the luxury of enjoying delay
2
repay.
hours before you need to get there.
Yeah, so I left at 1 o'clock for Evesham and I scraped in at 6:30 for the gig.
I suppose that does take the jeopardy out, and but not everyone has the luxury of having a big window of time they can arrive.
But also you have to have trains running for that to work, because the idea is within 2 hours you can pick up another train. No, I had to get a taxi from Worcester Parkway, my new home and yours, Worcester Parkway. But
it sounds like we're sponsored by Worcester Parkway, but
I
also
cannot
we
express
hate
enough
it.
how I'm not sponsored by Worcester Parkway. They didn't even have an in-house coffee shop. They just had a little wagon outside that apparently just opens when he feels like it.
There's a lot of businesses like that, though. But did it have a vending machine at least? Not even a Max Paprika
I had
crisp?
2 hours to find out and I couldn't find one. But the 7.6 million is interesting to me because I know every time I'm on a train, I'm like, because I'm the kind of person that talks to strangers on trains, I will go, well, good news, it's 15 minutes, we get compensation. And the person next to me goes, oh, it's a real hassle. And the amount of people I teach how to do delay repay, I'm like, honestly, get your phone out now, let me show you. Because it's 3 screens of information, basically. You need to give your address, you need to register an account if you don't have one, give your address, give your bank details, upload your tickets, done.
That is very straightforward.
And 99% of the claims will close within 20 working days. So you're getting your money back often sooner than that. But you're getting your money back within the month.
Is it just delays you can claim for? Because I must admit, my biggest frustration is can you claim if the seats are suspended? Like, what if you can't have your allocated seats?
Theoretically, you can get in touch with the team if you can't sit in your first class seat, and they will give you a little stipend back. Similarly, if you don't have any service,
right?
Apparently, you can email them
trolley.
and they'll give you like a £5 or something for what they consider to be the value of goods. But if you are a seat frog first class person like I am, and you're hoovering up as many free things as you can have for your money, that just doesn't cover it.
What is a seat frog?
A seat frog. I don't want to tell people about this, to be honest. I was excited about it at first, but I don't want to tell people now because too many people are doing it.
It's a service to the nation, but it is an auction.
But
and
it comes
at which
at a
point,
personal cost to me.
The more people join that auction and compete with you for a good seat, the more competitive and more expensive that seat gets.
Yep. So how it works, it takes first class inventory that's not been sold an hour before.
Which is always most of the first class inventory.
No one's paying.
If you're on a packed out train, you know full well there's nobody in first class.
Yeah. So it takes all the first class seats or a proportion of the first class seats that haven't been sold, and you can buy them at auction. So you can start with as little, I think, £12. And if you're the winning bidder, you get the seat for £12. And it's good. How good it is depends on which service. Like LNER is my favourite because you can get like a literal 3-course meal with cutlery.
LNER is
booze.
absolutely the best value service, I think, in terms of what their trolley has.
Oh, yeah.
The quality, like getting it served in a cup. But also, I personally, and this is not based in data, it is vibes alone, they seem to run more on time than other services.
Yeah, I think they do.
Cross Country and East Midlands seem to be 2 of the worst for delays.
Well, they're not as bad as Hull, actually. Hull Trains doubled their complaints last year from 4,460 versus 2,194 the year before. But I think this doesn't tell the full story because, like I said, people are not claiming.
But our Hull Trains are also running more services now. Because I'm sure they started a service to London from Sheffield that didn't exist before.
But that doesn't excuse them for being more.
Oh no,
more delayed. Oh, more trains,
delayed.
More delays. Am I right? No, that's not a phrase that should ever catch on.
More trains, more
problems. Yeah. But yeah, people have got to know it is worth doing it, if only to create administration for the train companies that are absolutely cashing in. Like even if it's £2. Have your £2 back, it's yours. If we all cost £2 to them, 7.6 million people, even if we all got £1 back, costs them 7.6 million. And if it costs them 100 million, they'll start to learn their lesson and they'll run them on time.
See, you say that, but I feel like that we are so spoiled. Well, I say spoiled. Ruined for how bad the train travel in this country is. If I were to sit down and say, okay, I'm going to develop a train company today, and I'm doing my research, I'm designing what my product's going to be, I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to start a train company, and I sit sit there and I go, what do the consumers expect? And I sit there and I graph it all out. And right now, people don't even expect a seat. You consider that a luxury. If I can guarantee you a seat, I'm quids in. But the expectations of consumers now, we hate trains.
Yeah.
We hate the train companies.
I didn't even tell you now.
Our expectations are so low.
We hadn't left the station for 12 minutes. No announcement. They were just like, we'll leave when we're ready.
We live here now. This train is going nowhere. My all-time favourite is that, it used to be an expectation that if you were on the train, your train left on time, you got the train, I'm on the train, I've got the correct ticket, and I go, okay, I am going from Derby to Sheffield, okay? I'm on the train on the correct time, it's running on time. You expect that train to stop at your station, don't you?
Yes.
But that's not always true.
Oh, sorry, there are no staff. We're not going there anymore. What?
But I'm on the train. I'm in my seat. I'm on my correct ticket.
I have purchased travel. And the thing is, if you're on the last train, you are, as you frequently are if you do stand-up comedy or if you're going out for a night, if you're going to a concert, if you're on that last train, it gets cancelled. You don't get compensation. At most, you got what you were offered that time, which was they booked everybody who was due to be on the train taxis from London to Sheffield, York, Newcastle.
Yeah.
And you were going to have to get in a taxi with a stranger. And
not just a stranger. I would have had to get a taxi with 3 strangers from London St Pancras to Sheffield Station, which is horrible. I wouldn't do that drive. That's why trains exist.
No, and you certainly wouldn't do that drive if you were not in control of the stops.
And I wouldn't do that drive at midnight with 3 strangers without a phone charger and with no guarantee that they will stop for a wee when I need one. How do you tell that taxi to stop? Is it allowed to?
You can't do it.
There is absolutely no way that that's cheaper for the company.
No.
I don't understand. If you
get staff out of bed, pay them 10 times the going rate. Literally sound an alarm. Who wants to do this? Surge salary. Who wants to do this?
I mean, how bad is the overtime rate that it's cheaper for the company to, put those people in taxis?
I can't imagine. That was an eye-watering cost. And that was just one scenario.
Yeah, because there were at least 60, 70 people going in different directions to different places. But our expectations are so low.
Your expectation, because you got up the next day, you stayed overnight, got up the next day, your expectation was any train would do because they had not fulfilled their side of your contract.
No.
And then they told you could only have got the first train of the day, which is at 7 a.m.
And this was it, is that, okay, so I opted out of the taxi and I turned down their offer to put me in a taxi back because personally that is my nightmare.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that. And I thought, okay, well, I'll find somewhere to stay. And I will absorb that cost and get the next train. That's on me. I've turned down their service. Fine. But I am price-led then on where I'm going to stay.
Yeah.
I can't stay in central London. I can't book something last minute at the train station overnight, at which point it makes it nearly impossible for me to get the first train at 5 o'clock in the morning that they are reasonably willing to put me on.
It's you don't get to dictate what train we get, but apparently they do. So the only thing we can do is, as I say, always delay repay. Always delay repay and get your tickets for as cheap as you can. Use Split Save. Trainline is a tricky one. Not everybody loves it, but it is very, very good at giving you 5 different ways of achieving the same journey. If you're somebody who needs to be somewhere on time, leave earlier. If you're somebody... If you're somebody that needs to get somewhere that's popular, book as far in advance as you can. So they give trains 3 months in advance. Your train tickets are out. So if you are thinking about booking Christmas travel, do it now. Leave the podcast. Do it now
pause
and come
us.
back.
Put us on pause. Run away. Book your trains.
And if you've got a friend that's also travelling the same way, get a 2 Together card, which is something
goodness.
I am train married to so many people because the cost of a 2 Together card is £30. And if a journey is a couple of £100, you get the saving that covers the card.
I'm sorry. You have 2 Together rail cards with other people?
I do.
I thought I was special.
I know. No, I will 2 Together with whoever will get me cheaper train travel. But and so should everybody else.
You can save that on a single trip though.
Yeah. And same with if you've got more than 2 people, book together because you get a group saver rate. So you get a third off. Do not book 3 individual tickets if you're all travelling the same way. You need to just get your head together and make sure that you're doing this because
game the deals and book in advance.
It saves so much time. So trains, they're a rip-off. try and beat them at their own game. Make sure you're booking as far in advance as possible to get the cheapest tickets. Use SeatFrog to sit in those first class seats for next to nothing. And, enjoy the extra pleasure of being next to somebody who had the money to pay full price for a first class seat, because that's my favourite journey.
Also, one thing that I have come to realise is that the staff who work on the trains respect the hell out of people who have SeatFrogged a first class upgrade. They are so willing to give you as many cakes and crisps as you want. If you tell them you SeatFrogged it you're like, I shouldn't have all of these extra snacks. Also, if you're getting the last train, sometimes they just bring the sandwiches around like a kind of too good to go bag and you get to just take them with you. They're like, does anybody want these 12 ham sandwiches? We can't take them with us. You can.
Yeah, that's sticking it to the man, that is. And book your travel in advance as much as you can. Know how many people are going. Never book a single ticket if you're going in a group. It all adds up. 30% off is not to be sniffed at.
And never use a ticket machine in the station.
Oh, no.
Absolute rip-off.
No, always worth booking on your phone. Even if you're standing at the station next to the machine, the price will be the worst you'll ever pay. So, slowly but surely, we're sticking it to the trains. What else are we doing? What else are we talking about today? Oh,
we've gone from returning ourselves to a destination to returning a package.
Retail returning us to the days where it costs money to return things.
Now, see, this comes back to really what consumer expectations are. And Amazon has ruined us for any other business to, with their free delivery, and ASOS have ruined us for this and used to being able to just send things back willy-nilly. People buying 16 items and then going, I didn't want any of them. You pay, and sending it right back. And now it's coming back to bite us in the arse.
It is coming back to bite us, and it's cruelly coming back to bite us.
Cruelly coming back to bite
me specifically. No, it's an interesting one, this, because if you're buying online, you can't try things on. So theoretically, you're going to buy a load of different sizes and get the one that fits. So, that is the deal. Initially, that was the deal that online retailers were making when we were all bricks and mortar led to tempt people into buying things online, particularly women's clothes where the sizes are wild.
Oh my God, they make no sense at all. None at all.
Where you're a size 10 in M&S because of vanity sizing, because they know that their customers don't want to think that they've filled out a little bit, and then try to buy the same size in H&M.
Men's clothing is so much more consistent. There is a pretty consistent way that you have extra small, medium, large, extra large, and everyone knows roughly what they are. Medium is about medium in like all of those shops.
But I think ASOS sort of forced everybody into next day delivery. It used to be 3 to 5 days was normal, or you could pay for express, and then next day delivery became the normal thing. It was how people stole market share from the others. But ultimately, a lot of the online retailers now have either consolidated or gone. So they're all sort of owned by the same people, and as a result, they now have the luxury of bringing in a cost. And ASOS is one. And I think the thing that's annoying about stuff like this is the lack of transparency. So ASOS have said only a tiny proportion of customers will be affected.
How many customers?
They have not said, but
have you been affected by this?
Yes, and I probably buy. I'm not a returner. I'm not a returner. I'm not a pathological returner.
I think you're not a pathological returner. And it's not that you buy things and you don't want to send them back. You just never get round to doing that part of the transaction.
No, and it's never been easier either. You can just pop them in a locker now around the corner from the house, and I'm still not doing it.
No, I know. They're all in the house.
I'm haunted by piles of ASOS bags where I packaged them all up. They're all nice and safe. They've not left the house. So I am not, by any means, a repeat offender. But in order to get free returns, I've got to keep at least £15 worth of stuff to trigger a free return. And for some people, it's tiered. So for some people, it's £40 of stuff.
But how much stuff? £15 is not that much stuff. What's that? Like one thing. How much are clothes? How much are clothes, Vix?
Well, because this is also, it's happening up on boohoo.com. It's happening on the pile 'em high, sell them cheap retailers. So theoretically, a dress there is like a tenner.
Right.
So actually, that's quite a chunk.
You have to keep a couple of items then to not have to pay the return.
And unless you're Premier, you've paid for the delivery as well.
What's Premier?
So Premier on places, or Princess or Premium, everybody's got this sort of loyalty scheme. I'm in all of them. I'm special to everyone. $9.99 a year, which isn't bad. You get
Nothing costs
you get free
$9.99
next
a
day.
year.
Exactly.
A year.
And I think we have forgotten, like, as much as I felt personally attacked by the ASOS bringing in this, like, we have forgotten how much of a privilege it is to have things.
Somebody has to pay
day.
for it. I kind of like, the cost of postage, the cost of returns. I do feel bad for the small businesses for whom now this is an expectation.
Yeah.
And their customers are now saying, well, we expect this because these shops have set a precedent.
Because I was really irritated by that because I had to pay £7 because it was a small online retailer. The thing did not fit and I had to pay £7 to send it back and I had to pay quite a high rate to have it delivered.
You've then paid what, £15 to have no dress?
I just paid £15 and the person that sold me the dress doesn't have anything. Like, only the postal service one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's creeping in and they are desperately trying to get people back in store as well. So places like Dorothy Perkins are doing it because they want people to go in the shop. It's like, it'll cost money to send it back, but if you want to take it in, it's free.
It's a real sort of postcode lottery of that, though, because we're very lucky that we live near, or at least we can get to somewhere like Meadowhall that has all of these shops in it. So if I order something online, I can return it for free there.
I feel like if you live in Worcester Parkway, you might be in trouble.
Got a real thing about it.
I have. I hate it.
And as far as we're concerned, they have no shops.
They have no shops.
I mean, it's a clever strategy from them to push people back into the shops. But also,
you'll buy more.
You'll buy more, but also it helps you as a consumer because you can try the stuff on.
Yeah.
Because it's frustrating. It takes everybody's time. Even when it was free returns, you weren't using it because it takes your effort.
Yeah.
If you're ordering stuff that doesn't fit, I think, the answer is to, if possible, return to the high street. But whose pocket's that lined in?
But from this month, ASOS has come in, so you'll start to notice it in the run up to Christmas. But I think it.
Do you think it should stay?
I think it should because I think we need to be more mindful of what we're spending. I think it was a little bit too easy, like one-click basket, Apple Pay. I think it's become, certainly for me, a little bit too easy for me to buy things and repent at leisure. It's stuff that as soon as it pops into your head, you can have it. And you can have it within 24 hours. And I think maybe we should return to a little bit more of a think before you buy attitude.
Definitely. I suppose I'm not normally one to say, but tout the environmental impact of these things. But when you think about how many deliveries were being made for free, someone is absorbing the cost. And actually, maybe we should be more mindful of that. But I don't know, it's not fair to small businesses. But we as consumers expect it. I will deliberately not shop somewhere if they won't deliver it to me the next day. That's my expectation now.
I just think we're so spoiled. It's the same with Deliveroo. Like, we were outraged to have to pay like £3 Deliveroo fee the other day. Like, what kind of Henry VIII nonsense is that? That I can have a McFlurry delivered into my hands.
Oh, yeah.
That I receive in my dressing gown at my front door, and I think £3 too much.
£3 is too much to pay for, and also £3 is too much to pay to not have an apple pie delivered to my doorstep. And I also will complain if it's not hot enough. If that thing doesn't burn my mouth, they're losing a star. I'm going to complain about that. But I think we've become so spoiled. But it all comes down to expectations. When we're talking about what our expectations are of train travel, when it's really bad, the expectations go through the floor.
Yeah.
People have spoiled us with these services, and now we are so used to them that we have no choice but to pay for them when they introduce a fee.
Yeah.
They say, we're going to start charging you for that, and we go, oh, but I really like having that luxury.
It's like, yes, we know that's why we provided it, and now we're taking it away. But so keep an eye out for that. But with that in mind, if you are somebody that spends a lot online, it is worth looking at the Premier services because there's a different spending threshold for that on the ASOS one before you have to pay for returns. Have a look at what the premium things offer because the premium service hasn't really risen in price for a long time. Like, it was set at $9.99 years ago.
I think that's going to go up.
Yeah, almost certainly.
If you can, some things allow you to purchase credit and purchase subscriptions for longer terms.
Yeah.
So I saw somebody do this on a gaming site the other day and buy essentially something like 25 years of PlayStation Plus on a good deal. Because it was something like 86% off. So they paid $199 and it was like 87% off, and it should have been something like $4,500.
Yeah.
If you can buy subscriptions in advance before they hike those prices, do.
I would expect it to become tiered as well, because as with everything subject to fair usage, there'll be people that pay the $9.99. It's worth it because they buy 2 items a year, or they buy 4 things in the Christmas shopping period to try on 4 sparkly dresses, that subsidize people like me who are buying 3 or 4 things a month, which is actually racking up a much bigger cost. But
is everybody doing it? How much are people charging?
A fair few people are doing it. It's coming in at around sort of $3.95. So
it's a lot of money.
But yeah, it's worth looking at these subscriptions. It's worth thinking about whether you actually want the items that are coming.
Right, that's the other thing. Like, should you be more discerning? I suppose like part of the answer here should be, how can retailers get better at showing us a real idea of what the fit is like?
Yeah.
Should they be doing more to make sure that people aren't needing to return stuff? I think we should have just, a global sizing agreement.
I think you're asking quite a lot.
I would what if we started doing sizing in centimetres and inches instead of, whatever number somebody's picked out of their brain that made them feel good that day? What if it were consistent? What if Vix...
I don't think we can solve fashion in the time that we've got
I'd like
on
to
this
solve
show.
fashion.
But yeah, have a look at delivery charges. Because some shops are just plain not offering next day delivery anymore. Like Dorothy Perkins, it'll get to you when they say so, basically.
And you're still paying for delivery on that?
But there's no next day option. They've just taken it away because they cannot fulfill at the level that people want the next day services, even at the premium. So I think we're going to see a return to that, a return to delayed gratification. And a drive to get people in store. And it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But check your subscriptions. And if you're not using them, again, if you're an ASOS person and you're like, oh, I've been on Premier for 10 years, but I've only bought 3 things, cancel it. I love to cancel subscriptions.
Don't be
my
a
favourite
mug.
thing. On the subject of subscriptions and monthly payments, it's time for Then versus Now.
I'm liking it.
Worse,
it is getting worse, but I really want to see how it develops.
Oh yeah, I'm slowly but surely gonna just disintegrate. It could be high production values. We could
excited.
swing that way.
What have you got for me?
Yeah, I would like to know. The subject is iPhones, the category iPhones.
Subject iPhones, category iPhones.
Arguably,
would the subject not be technology, category iPhone?
Well, maybe. All right, fine. This is new, okay?
I've nitpicked. I'm sorry.
But, arguably, the start of this kind of next day revolution, like the smartphone, put a little computer in your hands and within
delightful.
3 clicks an item can be on its way. So I think Steve Jobs has got a lot to answer for, is what I'm saying.
There's a lot of people with a lot to answer for. Mostly it's big businesses.
In tech, yes. So I would like to know, Charlotte, how much you think the original iPhone went on sale for? So think back.
What's the frame of ref? Oh,
it's
goodness
2007.
I am
Word has got around that there is a phone that is all screen.
It's all screen.
It's all screen. Yep, it does all this stuff. It can play videos. It can play music. You can access the internet in a way that's not WAP.
What?
Yeah, it's 2007. The Hangover has just been released. Everybody's going wild about it. They're like,
Thank you for the frames of cultural reference for me.
That Bradley Cooper guy, I think he's going to be big.
Oh no, I'm thinking I can picture it and I knew people who had it, but I'm very bad with keeping up to date with current technology in terms of phones and music. I'm very good with computers, phones, terrible.
This is iPhone number 1. It was 4 gig of memory.
That is huge. Bear in mind, I remember the memory sticks around then being like, what's the 64 megabyte memory stick? I still had a Walkman when everyone had iPods. I refused to upgrade. I had CDs, Vix.
People still had minutes.
Oh, remember needing minutes? Remember calls? Yeah. Remember phone calls?
TB, I need to top up.
Oh, God. Okay. Original iPhone.
iPhone.
In my mind, it's like the price of a house. Because I don't...
Well, it might be. Maybe the price of a house in, 1940.
Oh, I have absolutely no idea. Okay, I'm going to say... £500.
Okay, well, you'd be really excited at the value for money you would receive when it was only, it's $399, which is about 306 British pounds.
£306.
Yeah, which for this
compared
brand
to
new
an iPhone
technology,
now,
knowing what
cutting
we know now.
edge, the absolute cutting edge.
So yeah, iPhone 16 went on sale a couple of months ago, and the cheapest one you can get is £799. But
Have they come down in price?
That's for 128 gig of memory. Well, this is for the bog standard 16. Obviously, there's a Pro, there's a Plus.
I wish they'd stop that and just give me like a phone. Why is it tiered now? Either it's new and it's good, but they bring them out and they're like, oh, the 16's out and it's new and it's good, but also there's one that's new and not good and it's a bit shitter.
Well, the iterations, as ever, like technology has reached it went so quickly and it's now stabilized a little bit. So it's like tiny micro measures. It's death by a thousand cuts now in which phone you choose. It's like this camera is slightly better versus
I won't know the difference, you know?
It's like washing powder that's like it gets the whites whiter than white.
The whiter than whites, the whitest whites possible. Just make it smell nice.
So like, white, you go into the void of white.
What can that phone do now? And I'm like, I still have an 8.
I know.
I have an 8. I need a new one.
And
it's
the
broken.
camera is better than mine somehow. Because I've got the bog standard new 15.
My potato phone.
Yeah.
It also, like, I've only in the last year or so ended up with this 8 that no longer had a headphone jack because I held on to that as long as I possibly could. But it's like, what could this phone offer me now? Like, I use it for, it will still do all the same apps and everything I need it to. I don't take that many pictures because you're better at it.
I am, it's true.
And I'm very bad at taking photographs of people. They do not like them ever. But what else can it do? Like, it's not going to make toast.
I just want the newest thing all the time, though. So I am what Apple
You
want.
are rampant consumerism.
I'm an Apple super user. I want the one that's apple green now. I want the green one. That's my next acquisition. I've got the red one, even though the tech spec is lower because I wanted a red one. This is who I am as a person.
I'm disgusted.
But you know what, Charlotte? If back in 2007 you had bought and preserved an iPhone, like new in box, absolutely. You haven't ripped the cellophane. It is completely in pristine condition. How much do you think you could get for it?
As a collector's piece?
Yeah. Well, I guess you could use it, but it'd be rubbish.
Nothing would work on it. Okay, as a collector's edition piece. Oh, I don't know. Okay, let's say £75,000.
Not quite, but in 2022, one sold for £48,630. So if you'd bought one back then and just left it in a box.
I just realised that back then, isn't in the context of this, was 2007.
Exactly. So you didn't even have to hold on to it very long for it to have been worth like quite a lot of money.
If you come across tech now,
and
buy a new one, keep it in a box.
Some of the OG ones that have been used or lightly used are going for like quite a lot of money on eBay because I had a little look earlier on. So
if you've got one, dig it out, flog it.
I know, we're all too worried about Beanie Babies and it was phones the whole time. Nobody wants my Princess Diana Beanie Baby.
There's too many of them around. Nobody wants any of my old rubbish, but I will keep trying to throw it at Vinted and see what sticks.
So that was our weekly depressathon of how much things used to cost versus how much it costs now. To be fair, though, £400 inflation on a phone that's now like over 100 times more storage. I don't think it's that bad.
I know, because I mean, at the time, it was worth so much more money proportionally, and I feel like we've hit that peak where they charged way too much, and it was over £1,000. But I think it is coming down again.
I think so. I think people are sick of it. We are bored. Our phones do enough, and we cannot envision a time where we want them to do more. So I think it'll be an interesting tech challenge. It's like they brought folding phones back. We didn't like it the first time. We moved on,
and they brought them back. Like, maybe, just maybe. And now there's been a resurgence of the brick phone.
Yeah. I want a flip phone because there's no satisfaction like clamshelling the end of a call with somebody you're annoyed with. Like my little pink Samsung clamshell, I had a
Motorola Razor.
Oh, she fancy. But yeah, that was this week's Spendology. Look at that.
We've learnt a lot.
I think we have learnt a lot. So yeah, what we're saying is book your trains in advance and demand compensation when they don't arrive on time or at all, and check your privilege when it comes to clothes delivery because you might be stung with delivery costs.
Lower your expectations.
Lower your expectations
or
and you'll
pay
be
for them.
think that's what a manifesto for life. Lower your expectations.
Or pay for them.
That was this week's Spendology. If you like it, give us a rate on whatever podcast app that you're on. Tell your friends, subscribe. And if you didn't like it, you were listening to Off Menu.
Follow us on all social media at SpendologyPod, and maybe come to the website. We write about things on there. Maybe. Spendologypod.com.
If people stop coming to the website, we'll stop writing it. So it's up to you to keep us honest on that.
Thanks for listening.